You won't believe what just happened. Two of the most powerful voices in gospel music, Juanita Bynum and Andria Johnson, have finally come face to face in a confrontation no one saw coming. For years, whispers of tension and rivalry have surrounded these two women. But now, the truth is out. What started as a subtle feud has exploded into a shocking moment that left fans stunned. Was it a clash of egos, a battle over faith, or something much deeper? Stay tuned because we're about to break down every detail of this unexpected showdown. And trust me, you don't want to miss a single second. When you think of powerhouse gospel voices, two names instantly come to mind: Juanita Bynum and Andria Johnson. Both have commanded the gospel scene with their incredible vocal talent, raw testimonies, and undeniable anointing. But behind the scenes, rumors of tension and competition have been brewing for years. On one side you have Juanita Bynum, a legendary prophetess and gospel icon who has influenced millions with her teachings, music, and books. Her fiery preaching and deeply emotional ministry have made her a household name. But with great influence comes great controversy, and Juanita has certainly faced her share of public scrutiny. On the other hand, there's Andria Johnson, a singer with one of the most powerful voices in gospel music. Ever since winning BET's Sunday Best, she has been a force to be reckoned with. But her journey has been anything but smooth. With struggles involving addiction, candid confessions about church hypocrisy, and a raw, unfiltered approach to faith, Andria has been both praised and criticized. So what happens when these two strong personalities collide? That's exactly what shocked everyone in the gospel world. The confrontation that recently unfolded between Juanita Bynum and Andria Johnson was unexpected, explosive, and left fans completely divided. But how did it start? What was said? And most importantly, what does this mean for their future in ministry? Stay with us as we break down every shocking detail, the hidden truths behind their beef, and the real reason these two women finally confronted each other. You won't believe what was said when the cameras weren't rolling. To understand how this dramatic confrontation unfolded, we have to go back to the beginning. A history of silent competition that many fans didn't see coming. For years, both Juanita Bynum and Andria Johnson have been two of the most influential women in gospel. Their impact is undeniable, but their approaches to ministry could not be more different. Juanita Bynum rose to fame in the late 90s and early 2000s as a prophetess, evangelist, and singer. Her sermons, especially the groundbreaking "No More Sheets" message, positioned her as one of the most powerful female voices in the church. She was known for her deep revelations, her strong rebukes, and her ability to bring people to tears with her messages of deliverance and spiritual warfare. But Juanita's life was not without its scandals. Her highly publicized divorce, financial struggles, and past controversies often made headlines. Andria Johnson, on the other hand, had a completely different path to stardom. She wasn't a preacher or a prophetess. She was a singer, plain and simple. But what set her apart was her raw authenticity. From the moment she won BET's Sunday Best, people saw her as the realest gospel artist in the industry. Unlike Juanita, who presented herself as a woman of wisdom and discipline, Andria made no effort to hide her struggles with alcohol, church hurt, and personal demons. She cussed, drank, and sang in bars. Yet somehow, her anointing still drew people in. So with two completely different styles of ministry, how did the tension begin? Well, it started with a simple conversation that spiraled into something much bigger. Where it all went wrong. At first, there was no public feud, just an underlying tension that industry insiders whispered about. But then Andria made some shocking statements about church leadership, and many believed it was a direct shot at Juanita Bynum. Leandria had been very vocal about her frustration with the traditional church, calling out hypocrisy and religious leaders who, in her words, put on a front. In a controversial interview, she boldly declared, "These preachers act like they got it all together, but behind closed doors they're struggling just like the rest of us. They judge people for drinking, but they do the same thing in secret. At least I'm real about mine." Fans immediately speculated, was she talking about Juanita Bynum? After all, Juanita had been in the headlines before for financial issues, failed marriages, and personal struggles. The internet lit up with debates, with some saying Leandria was simply speaking her truth, while others accused her of disrespecting seasoned church leaders. Then Juanita Bynum's response took things to a whole new level. Juanita claps back. "You need to learn respect." Juanita Bynum is not one to stay silent. And when she finally addressed the situation, she didn't hold back. During a live stream, Juanita went on a fiery rant that many believe was directed at Leandria. "You young ones out here think you can just say whatever about the church and its leaders, but you have no wisdom, no discipline, no anointing that can last. Talent will take you places, but character will keep you there. Some of y'all got talent but no character." The gospel world exploded. People instantly connected her words to Leandria, sparking a full-blown online war. Some defended Juanita, saying she was only correcting a younger generation that lacked reverence. Others sided with Leandria, arguing that Juanita had no right to criticize anyone, given her own past mistakes. The tension had now turned into an all-out war of words. But what happened next took things to a place no one expected. Face-to-face showdown. The confrontation that shocked everyone. You won't believe what happened when Juanita and Leandria finally came face-to-face. Stay tuned for the next section because this is where things get heated, emotional, and completely unexpected. For weeks, the tension between Juanita Bynum and Leandria Johnson played out online and in whispers throughout the gospel industry. Fans took sides, pastors weighed in, and social media was ablaze with debates about whether Leandria had been disrespectful or if Juanita was out of touch with today's generation. But nothing could have prepared the world for what happened next. A face-to-face confrontation that left everyone speechless. It all happened at an exclusive gospel event in Atlanta, a place where many high-profile pastors, singers, and influencers were gathered. Initially, no one expected any drama. This was a worship experience after all. But when Juanita Bynum and Leandria Johnson were unexpectedly in the same room, it was only a matter of time before emotions boiled over. The tension in the room was palpable. According to eyewitnesses, the moment Leandria entered the event, the energy in the room shifted. People who had been laughing and mingling suddenly got quiet, and a few nervous glances were exchanged. Why? Because Juanita Bynum was already inside, seated at a table near the front. At first, Leandria seemed unbothered. She greeted some people, took a few pictures with fans, and even laughed with a few fellow gospel artists. But then it happened. Her eyes locked with Juanita's. What happened next was a moment straight out of a movie. Juanita Bynum, the seasoned prophetess known for her powerful stage presence and commanding voice, stood up from her seat. She didn't have to say a word. Her body language alone said it all. The room fell silent. Leandria, never one to back down, folded her arms and stared back at Juanita, almost as if she was daring her to say something. The air was thick with unspoken words, and everyone around them held their breath waiting to see how this was going to go down. Juanita breaks the silence. "You owe the church an apology." It was Juanita who spoke first, and when she did, her voice was calm but firm. "You can say what you want about me, but be careful when you come for the church. You need to understand that this platform you have, this voice you use, it was given to you by God. And when you start disrespecting the very institution that gave you an opportunity, you step into dangerous territory." Her words carried weight, and you could feel the tension tighten like a vice. Some people nodded in agreement, while others looked at Andria to see how she would respond. And in truly Andria fashion, she didn't hold back. "With all due respect, Dr. Bynum, I never said anything about the church that wasn't true. You want me to apologize for being honest, for saying what people are too scared to say? That's not going to happen. If the truth makes people uncomfortable, then maybe it's time for the church to change." Gasps rippled through the crowd. She had just stood toe-to-toe with Juanita Bynum and didn't flinch. But what happened next shocked everyone even more. The unexpected twist. Tears, truth, and a moment of healing. Just when it seemed like the conversation would escalate into a full-blown argument, something completely unexpected happened. Juanita's demeanor softened. For the first time that night, she took a deep breath and sat back down. And then, in a voice far different from the commanding tone she had started with, she said, "I know what it's like to be in your shoes, Andria. I know what it's like to be judged, to have your every move criticized, to feel like people are waiting for you to fail. But let me tell you something, there's a reason I made it through. I had to learn the hard way that some battles you don't fight with words. You fight them in the spirit." Andria, who had been ready to continue defending herself, froze. The weight of Juanita's words seemed to hit her in a way she didn't expect. For a moment there was silence. And then Andria's eyes welled up with tears. No one could believe what they were seeing. Was this a moment of healing between two powerhouse women of faith? Andria took a deep breath and in a voice barely above a whisper responded, "I never wanted to disrespect you. I just wanted to be heard." And that was the moment that changed everything. What happened after the confrontation? What started as a fiery showdown had somehow turned into a conversation about understanding respect and the struggles of being in the gospel industry. But what did this mean for their relationship moving forward? If there's one thing about the gospel industry, it's that nothing stays private for long. As soon as Bynum and Andria Johnson's confrontation happened, the rumors, whispers, and heated online debates started almost immediately. But what truly shocked people wasn't just the intensity of their exchange, it was the unexpected shift in energy. Toward the end, had they really made peace, or was it just a temporary moment of emotional vulnerability? That's what everyone wanted to know. Backstage conversations. What was said when the cameras weren't rolling after the confrontation ended? Both women were led into separate areas backstage while they had just shared a brief moment of understanding in front of everyone. It was clear that tensions weren't fully resolved. Eyewitnesses say Andria left the main area first while Juanita remained seated speaking quietly with a few close friends. But what happened next surprised everyone. Instead of storming out like some expected, Andria asked to speak with Juanita privately. According to multiple sources, this wasn't planned. She made the request in the heat of the moment, as if something inside her was pushing her to continue the conversation. At first, Juanita hesitated. "Are you sure?" she reportedly asked. Andria simply nodded. What followed was a 45-minute private discussion between the two women, one that no one except for a few insiders got to witness firsthand. What really happened behind closed doors, while no official statements were released. Sources close to both parties later revealed pieces of what was said during that emotional backstage meeting. Juanita reportedly opened up about her own struggles in the gospel industry, detailing the challenges of being misunderstood, judged, and criticized for simply trying to do what she felt called to do. Andria allegedly admitted that she sometimes lashes out, not because she wants to hurt people, but because she feels unheard and dismissed by the very community she grew up in. Both women acknowledged that they had made mistakes. Juanita in her approach to mentoring younger gospel artists, and Andria in how she sometimes delivers her truths. By the end of the conversation, something unexpected happened. They prayed together. This was a shocking twist considering how heated things had been just an hour before, but if there's one thing both Juanita and Andria still believed in, it was the power of prayer. Even if they had different ways of expressing it, social media erupts, fans take sides. While the two women were working through their issues privately, the internet was on fire. Clips of their confrontation quickly went viral, with fans and critics taking sides and debating who was right or wrong. Some fans praised Bynum, calling her a seasoned elder in the faith who was simply trying to correct and guide a younger artist who had lost her way. Others defended Andria, arguing that she was only saying what many younger believers felt, that the church was out of touch with modern struggles and unwilling to address real issues. Then there were those who believed both women had valid points and wished they could find a way to work together instead of tearing each other down. Screenshots, reaction videos, and even memes flooded social media. Some users mocked the situation, while others used it as a serious discussion about the generational divide in gospel music and the Black church. One particular tweet went viral stating, "This Juanita Bynum versus Andria Johnson situation is exactly why the church is divided. The old guard doesn't know how to listen, and the new generation doesn't know how to be humble. We need both wisdom and boldness, not just one." It was clear that this was bigger than just a personal feud. It was a moment that reflected deeper issues within gospel culture. The industry reacts, pastors and gospel artists weigh in. As the controversy continued to spread, other gospel artists and pastors started speaking out. Some wanted to stay out of it completely, while others felt compelled to address the situation head-on. Kirk Franklin, known for bridging the gap between gospel's old and new generations, posted a cryptic Instagram story simply stating,